five or six humps appeared about 200 yards away. And when I saw them, the thoughts that entered my mind were this: there was nothing there when we passed. It's not any creature I know. It fits the descriptions of the Loch Ness Monster. It must be the Loch Ness Monster.
This animal appeared, long, tapering neck, small head, huge hump, which I reckon 30 feet long, about 3 to 4 feet high at the apex. And I shut my eyes once, twice, 3 times to make quite sure I wasn't imagining seeing something. No, it was there all right.
The loch is a mysterious place. Shadows and wakes create peculiar effects. There are those who say anyone can be coaxed into seeing a monster in these waters. But if the monster is only an optical illusion or an hallucination, how can one explain these photographs, taken by a former professional army man, Frank Searle of London? Searle runs his own one-man investigation unit at Loch Ness. He lives hermit-like at water's edge, in a tent with few comforts of modern living. He's been here now for 5 years. His goal, to get close-up pictures of the monster. He tells us why.
I figure it would be worth a lot of money. Just the use of the pictures by the media all over the world, I think, would fetch in something like about £200,000 over perhaps the first 6 months. After that, there would be lectures, personal appearances and so on, and royalties from the pictures.
Nicholas Witchell, law student and part-time monster hunter, in a new book published in London this summer, questions the authenticity of Searle's photographs.
I'm afraid there are people who are faking photographs on the loch at the moment. This is done by superimposing objects onto negatives and by placing objects in the water and then photographing them. And recently, these pictures have been getting a great deal of attention from the popular British press.
To get better pictures, the monster hunters took their cameras underwater in submarines for the first time in 1969. But the unusually peaty and murky darkness of the loch's waters closed off all possible visibility. The submarines were considered useless and were withdrawn. Better results have been achieved with sonar, sound waves which collect echoes off whatever object they bounce. The echoes are converted into electrical signals on shipboard graphic recorders. 3 times in 1969, 70, and 72, research teams acoustically exploring the depths of Loch Ness have had contact with large, moving, but not necessarily living objects. The director of one of these expeditions was a Boston patent lawyer, Robert Rhines, who returned to Loch Ness in June 1974 to undertake a more ambitious underwater project.
You lower this there and have this sink into the silt and so forth.
Rhines' plans call for the dropping of 2 waterproofed cameras into the loch. The cameras are connected to a powerful strobe light and sonar recorder, all operated by a computer. When an object larger than 30 feet passes through the sonar beam, the computer will activate the strobe light and cameras. Every 10 seconds, another picture will be taken until the object passes out of the sonar's range. The equipment in place, a professional diver gives his opinion of working in Loch Ness.
You're dead right. I don't intend to go back to Loch Ness again.
Was it frightening?
It was frightening.
What was frightening about it?
The eerie darkness.
The buoy marks the location of the Rhines camera gear. 100 feet below the surface. Developed by Dr. Harold Edgerton of MIT, who also developed Jacques Cousteau's underwater equipment. This gear represents the current best hope of determining the monster's existence. In 1972, the Rhines team recorded this large object on the sonar screen. At the same time as it took this picture of a fin, said to be about 8 feet long, 4 feet wide. The fin, Rhines speculates, of the Loch Ness Monster. The Rhines fin bears a striking resemblance to the fins shown on the fossilized remains of plesiosaurs. Dr. Nicholas Houghton, a vertebrate paleontologist at the Smithsonian Institution, replies,
I think it's very unlikely that anything the size of a plesiosaur would be able to live in Loch Ness without our being aware of it long before now, or being able to live there, period, because there just isn't enough room for something that big. In thinking about a plesiosaur, you have to think in terms of a moderate-sized whale, as far as the amount of room it needs and the amount of food it needs. I can't give you very precise figures, but just to get sort of a ballpark order of magnitude, I would say that a reproducing population of plesiosaurs, whatever that is, maybe 40 individuals, we don't really know, but it would require a stretch of sea, depending on productivity, ranging along coastal waters, say from Chesapeake Bay down to, at least down to South Carolina or Georgia, and maybe all the way down to Florida.
There has been talk of electrifying the lake, of building giant nets, to find the hard evidence to determine if the creature exists. Without that evidence, the Loch Ness Monster must remain an intriguing but unsolved mystery. Tales about strange creatures are always tantalizing. In time, some may even prove to be true. To date, however, in the absence of hard evidence, the scientists at the Smithsonian Institution do not endorse the reality of such creatures as Bigfoot, the abominable snowman, or the Loch Ness Monster. Undoubtedly, there are undiscovered biological species on Earth, and possibly in outer space. The scientists whose task it is to probe the unknown will one day discover these species. They will continue to try to separate the myths from the realities, to help solve the mysteries of that part of the world still strange and unknown.
I hope you've enjoyed this presentation of Monsters, Mysteries, or Myths. Do you believe? I'm David Wolper. Thanks for watching.